The good uh, thing to say about this, that when you develop your own idea, when you write your own specs, later on we'll start discussing the UML diagrams, the design diagrams, you really don't have to write any code. So you can have some pretty wild ideas about what you'd like to do with this. So as long as you can convincingly write a functional spec and present a potential design for the system, this is all you need to do. So there's no really implementation aspect. Although some people in the past have written a demo or prototypes of the systems. Again, perhaps because they took it seriously and wanted to create a real application. So it's your choice where you want to take this. All right, so what I'd like to do is move on to another example. And this time, show you the type of analysis that could be done with existing functional spec. So there's a maze game example, schedule management system, quiz application example. By the way, soon I'm actually constructing this list right now, but sometime this week, later this week, I will be posting other potential ideas. Like if you have no clue what you'd like to work on, I will give you some samples, sample types of applications that you could potentially be working on. Let's take a look at this schedule management system. Interesting application. So this time, this is not a gaming application, but more of a business application. So, its description here, much less finalized or defined in terms of use cases. This is more or less a very high-level description by the user, by the potential customer, of what this system can do and why is it useful. So they essentially trying to tell you everything they would like to see in this particular system. And you can translate these business requirements into a more formal functional spec, which will include the use case diagram, the actors interacting with the system, what is included in the system, and also detailed description of use cases. So, but once the business requirement and functional specification is adopted, the next step is to analyze it from the structural perspective in terms of not the function of the system, but rather what is the structure of the system. And that is what classes may be useful to have to support this functionality, what relationship between the classes should exist. And so let's do a bit of an exercise of analyzing this. So the title of this thing is Security Firm Schedule Management System. So there's a security firm and they have security people employed, right? So so they have the so-called jobs or locations where they have to dispatch security personnel and start working there in shifts, basically carrying over their responsibilities at the particular location and being assigned a particular job. So to be able to plan all this business activity, the firm needs this schedule management system, right? So let's try to analyze the information that is presented to us. So we can pretend that this is some sort of like a, location could be Area 51, and then there's this secret meeting place with extraterrestrials or something like that, and we need to deploy people there to provide security. So your boss wants a program that tells if someone is working on a particular time of day, right? So this is really the boss's perspective of the system, right? there's this particular actor, potential user of the system, who wants to know certain things. But before they can get an answer to questions that are, of their concern, obviously there will be much more taking place. There will be regular users who will be maintaining the schedule and making updates and running reports and things of that nature. An authorized user, so we're specifying who the actor is kind of early on, specifying that an authorized user is basically the user who has credentials and access to the computer that runs the application. So we're giving clues about the infrastructure. They pretty much want to have a desktop application, right? So they have desktop application, the operating system provides user account and user password. They would like to create a user account or multiple user accounts. And so the users will be able to sign in and start using the system. So whoever has authorized access to a desktop computer will be considered to, a potential user of the system, so that they can get into the system and start using it. Okay, so this is sort of like an unfinished version of the, final functional specification. But I'm already trying to parse it from the perspective that, how would you approach to implement this? How would you distinguish particular use cases, actors, the roles that the users will play in the system, and so forth. So an authorized user enters an employee name into the schedule and specifies a time slot. Well, let me do this. It's kind of, for the sake of, demonstration. Maybe I can right-click and say Save As. Right? So save this web page somewhere in my downloads. So let me say AS123 sample. Right? I can save this HTML file. And when you work with the set of brand new concepts and the specifically business requirement documents, you're trying to familiarize yourself with the terminology, with the structure, and so forth. So let me say show it in folder. And what I can do is that maybe I can try to edit it. Right? I could use open with, let's see what's available here. I could use Microsoft. Oh, I could use Microsoft Visual Studio 2010. It has a pretty decent HTML editor, so I can tweak it a little bit and provide some highlights. Okay, so let's wait for that to start. So when you see that an authorized user enters an employee name into the schedule, you kind of sense that this is a description of a use case, right? So at this particular time, you can have an authorized user, and perhaps I can try it also with my, painting skills. Let's try to, try showing it that there will be a user, right? The user is shown as, this particular pictogram, like a, an actor, like this. An authorized user, you typically tell who those are, and there is a use case named enter a time slot, like so enter time slot, and I'm just abbreviating to for first characters here, but you would be doing this type of thing, specifying, okay, who is the actor and what is the use case, basically taking notes of what you see from this description. All right, so in the meanwhile, this is starting, so it started, so I can switch to the design mode here, so I can do some edits and highlights here. Okay, let me save this segment.